think it's important for us as design professionals to kind of speak out and help people to understand what the impact is on buildings, and that it's important to address these issues. You know, one of the problems is that one building by itself isn't going to make a difference, but all buildings together worldwide will. And so that makes it a little bit harder to convince somebody to do, you know, their one building more efficiently. But if you could get everybody going in the same direction, then that will have major impact on the industry and create this virtuous cycle where kind of some of the technologies can come along faster. If they come along faster, then the prices will drop, kind of like in the PV industry, whereas more and more PV got installed, the cost of manufacturing PV panels went down, and suddenly it became cost efficient to put photovoltaics on buildings.
Now, if we actually want people to take what we've worked on for decades, right, and run with it and create value out of it and make it their own, we actually have to start stepping back and not have the last word, right? If me turning my iPhone on every time made me feel like an idiot, I would probably not do it. So we still have such complex vocabulary. We still demand such great agreement on issues as opposed to just action. And I think one of the things we must do is actually switch to what is the easiest, what is it that the community needs in order to just do what it is that we know is good for all of us to do, whether they understand it or not. I think as a community, we need to find these alternatives. We need to find our own curb cuts. What is it that we can do, whether it is tools, whether it is messaging, whether it is stories, you know, seeing Lady Gaga on TV saying, hey, healthy spaces matter. All of that is significant. And I really think that as professionals, spending much more effort on what will it take for our end users to actually absorb this, rather than this kind of preaching to the choir thing that we've continued to do.
Well, I do think we can add our voices in terms of advocacy to Congress, because these are plans, but they need to be turned into legislation. And I think we can advocate for adequate resources that provide what's needed to be up to the task. And as you said, making sure that equity and general social equity, but also racial equity are fundamental in terms of how programs get designed and how funds actually get distributed. And certainly we as people in the industry can be making those points to our elected officials. And at the state and local level, making sure that our municipalities and our states are going to be ready to receive the funding that's going to flow through the federal government and implement effective programs on the ground.
I am an architect by training. I went to architecture school, and really at the end of the day, what we learn is ideation and problem solving. You know, how do we build the best building within the constraints that have been provided to us? And I think that sort of skill set is really going to come into play much more significantly than it was before. Design professionals are known for ideation and problem solving. So as we continue to translate design ideas into tangible impacts that matter to the communities that we're building for, we need to talk more in terms of the occupant's perspective, and responding really to the question, what's in it for me? And the answer to that question is really different depending on who you speak with. You know, from my perspective and in my role, it's something that drives everything we do as we address all aspects of community building. So really, it's going to be critical to look at the spaces that we're building to live, work, play, pray, heal for the community's needs today and beyond. I really feel people want to be a part of this change. We just need to give them the tools that they feel comfortable to use to drive and deliver on the change.
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing that's going to be really important is keeping up momentum. You know, we don't know what's going to happen in Washington in 2 years, in 4 years. We could have changes in administration, changes in messaging, but that doesn't take away this larger existential threat that is kind of the driver behind. I mean, you know, the infrastructure needs to be rebuilt regardless, but for the climate change, the climate specific aspects of it and rejoining the Paris Agreement, that the threat that we face by not addressing that is not going away regardless of who is in the White House or who's in Congress. So I think, you know, within our industry, we need to continually keep the broader goals in mind, and we need to put pressure on ourselves, on our clients, and on our competitors to, you know, not to forget about these goals when they're no longer at the forefront and in the